Why electric car charger stations just don't replace the batteries with the charged ones in 5 minutes instead of making people wait for hours. In addition to the points made here, the batteries are also quite dangerous, especially in the event of a collision. The required rigidity and armoring to protect them from being punctured or bent under the force of most car accidents makes it significantly harder to engineer them to also be easily removed. 1. Because charging doesn't take hours. Most charging sessions from high-voltage chargers are about 20 minutes. 2. Because batteries are the most expensive part of the car. Would you want to trade your brand new one for used one of random quality? 3. Because batteries are the most expensive part of the car. Charging station owners don't want the capital expense of owning all these batteries. 4. Because they've tried it, they do for fleets in China. Tesla even had an automated station pilot in the USA. It wasn't that quick and wasn't that cheap. Overall, because it's a very complicated solution to a very small problem. Most EV owners don't mind charging. Most EV owners charge overnight at home and don't care how long it takes. Charging while on the road takes about 20 minutes, about the same time as it takes to get a coffee or go to the bathroom. The financial impact of charging over gas and over replacing batteries at every charge are dramatic and worth a short 20-minute break. Most EV owners prefer 20-minute charging sessions over the old way of getting gas, because it's the whole bottom of the car. They do that with electric bikes though. To make a high-range EV, you need to basically design the car around the battery, so they are not interchangeable. Every car manufacturer has its own special sauce, and making the battery easily swappable, instead of being deeply integrated into the body of the car, would impose a lot of extra design restrictions. Also, this is an area where a lot of innovation is still happening. Standardizing on today's battery technology would mean halting that innovation and preventing car manufacturers to come up with better battery designs in the future and competing with each other in that regard. Also, batteries degrade over time, and the owner has some influence on how well they last. If you have a brand new battery, you don't want to swap it out for one that has gone through hundreds of fast charge cycles already. You would need to move to a model where people don't own their own batteries, but only lease them, so that it's not their problem if their battery wears out fast, but that model has its own downsides. Imagine if every time you needed gas they also swapped your engine for some other engine that might be old or damaged. Unless there is a problem with the battery, the best thing to do is leave it in place. Don't the supercharger stations fill the battery in minutes, not hours? Tesla did do this early on very briefly, and there is one manufacturer in China that currently does this using a robotic type of system. The big issue is the space and infrastructure needed for such a system, and lack of compatibility across manufacturers. Some info on Tesla's system here: n.m.wikipedia.org Wiki Tesla battery station. Such a system do exist. Tom Scott once tried a Neo battery swap station: u2.bay NZY603 is 5W, but it's a complicated process. Building stations is a lot more expensive, and both the car and the battery have to be made to specs. It's doubtful battery makers and car makers would agree on standardizing everything just to make this happen on a larger scale. 1. Massive upfront cost to install the infrastructure that would store and replace batteries. Also, this would require all the EV companies to standardize the battery replacement modules. 2. Most public electric chargers are fast chargers and they don't take hours. Actually, it's more like 30 mins. 3. Plug-in charges automatically fit into our regular energy grid, and there are literally more of them than there are gas stations already. Because then the burden of replacing worn-out batteries would go to the owner of the charging station, not the owner of the car. We could, theoretically, see an electric car with a design that would allow a backup battery to be kept at home, or for roadside assistance to be able to handle emergencies using smaller vehicles. But there are two issues with this. First, the backup battery would not be replacing all the cells, just enough to get you to the next charger. Second, instead of introducing new design elements to a car, they could just introduce portable chargers, which would be backwards compatible and use cheaper material if they haven't already done that. Let's keep in mind that owners of public charging stations are usually energy and fuel companies. Even if car manufacturers side with the consumer on this one, they can hardly persuade them to do something like this. Over in either Korea, Vietnam, or one of the other countries nearby, can't remember exactly, has a scooter company where you pay, I think it's somewhere around like $5 a month to be able to use their battery changing spots. You pull up on your bike, take your battery out, put it in one of the empty slots, and then however many old batteries you put in, that many new ones pop up for you to grab. You pop those bad boys in and you're good to go. This is the whole biz model of Gogoro for e-mopeds. https://n.wikipedia.org Wiki Gogoro. This would solve a huge issue with battery charge times. Imagine once batteries have reached a development curve where diminishing retards in effect, standardization may be the answer. Battery packs on passenger vehicles weigh 1,000 to 2,000 pounds. Replacing them, even if they were engineered for this purpose, would require heavy machinery and expert operators. It would likely take 10-15 minutes, and you could process once for every 2 employees, one of whom would be a skilled, likely union operator. Or you can have an unmanned station with the only limit on concerned customers being the number of parking spaces you can build. Whose waiting hours? What are you talking about? 20-minute charge time vs probably 45 minutes to queue up and get batteries replaced. Think how big a battery replacement station is compared to a charging area. 5x the size? Car company NIO already does that. There's no standard system to do this. It will probably happen eventually, but it will take years for everyone to get on the standard. I saw a video not long ago of taxis in China, I think, where they went into a special thing, looked a bit like a car wash, and the batteries would be taken out from underneath and replaced with charged one. Was pretty cool. It's just as viable today as it was 100 years ago, as long as you buy a car with a changeable battery and there are changing stations in your area. Batteries are heavy, so you need large machines to move them, plus you need to design and build them in a way that is reliable and can do hundreds of thousands of cycles without breaking. Then you need a way to store and charge those batteries to always have a fresh one available for the next car. That all gets expensive fast. That is probably the future of electric cars. Charging batteries in a bank can be optimized to utilize a specific type of energy while not dramatically affecting the grid. Upon receiving the battery, it can be tested for dead cells and have those replaced before going back in another car. And there's room for this to become a subscription-based model, so businesses will be happy. However, cars just aren't designed for batteries to be easily removable. Yet, they are large, expensive, potentially dangerous, so manufacturers don't want people messing with them. As battery technology improves and they become more compact, it would make sense to have multiple smaller batteries that can be swapped out. The technology and need just isn't there yet.